So Richard, tell me about the time you pulled a knife on John Boy.
I pulled a knife on John Boy. Haha.
You didn't think I knew that story, did you?
No, I didn't. Actually, that wasn't too far from here. It was at the time it was called the Westwood Playhouse. It's now called the Geffen Theater.
Oh, okay.
And we were doing a play called Streamers. And John Boy, Richard Thomas, Ralph Davison, Charlie Durning, and Ralph Meeker, and actor named Herb Jefferson were doing that production. And it was a pretty amazing production. Milton Katselas directed it. We ran from December to almost May. And during those few months, the character pulls a knife on John Boy, was one of them. And the character Carlisle kills two people. He stabs John Boy and he stabs Charlie Durning. And it was so effective as a dynamic in a play that over the course of those months, 14 people were carried out on stretchers.
Oh my gosh.
From passing out or from having a heart attack. All men.
Interesting.
All men. The play was such an intense play that the first act was very funny, but wasn't funny ha-ha. It was tension-filled humor. And then the second act, when the door slammed, man, it was just a great way of capturing people in a real intense drama. And it was it was an incredible experience, and it kind of was what launched my career.
Yeah.
Well,
I actually know the play well. I directed it as a senior project in college.
Really?
That's part of my senior college, because I was in the film program at SUNY Purchase, and I had to do a senior film as my senior project, but I started my senior film as a sophomore.
Right.
So it was basically finished by the end of my junior year, and everybody's like, well, what are you going to do for your senior project? You finished your senior film already. It's like, how about I direct a play? So I chose Streamers because I saw the original production, the Joseph Pratt production at the Mitzi Gaynor Theater in
the Lincoln
New York.
Center?
Yeah.
In Lincoln Center.
So
you saw,
I saw Peter
Dorian Harewood.
I saw Dorian Harewood.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
He was amazing.
Yeah. So the character Carlisle. But my understanding, though, and I not to steal your story from you, was that you auditioned for the role of Carlisle twice.
Yes.
And the first time you auditioned, they cut you off after like 30 seconds.
You know the story.
I know the story.
This? That's amazing.
Thank you. And then you came back. It was like a year later or something to audition the second time.
And it wasn't a year later. It was maybe 4 months later.
4 months later.
Yeah. I asked an actor to come and audition with me because I didn't want a reader. And I auditioned, and the producer, maybe about 30 seconds in, a minute in, said, thank you.
That's on the first audition.
That was the first audition. That was very good. So Billy Friedkin was supposed to direct it. Richard Thomas was one of the actors cast, and Peter Falk was the other actor.
Peter Falk?
Peter Falk was playing the sergeant.
Wow.
Sergeant Rooney, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And so time went on, and all of us, and then after a while, Billy Friedkin dropped out, and Peter Falk dropped out. And so, and so it was like, wow. And so I was just waiting. And then the next thing I heard, Milton Katselas is now directing it. And I said, oh, man, he's my acting teacher. Who's going to, I don't have a shot now, right? And I was very disappointed. Now, the interesting thing is that, this is crazy.
Hi, I'm Jeff Schechter, and this is the WritersRoom Pros Podcast. Make sure you subscribe, you ring that bell so you don't miss any conversations we have with writers, producers, directors, composers, actors, everybody involved in the business of storytelling. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram at WritersRoom Pro.
I put that scene up in class a couple of times.
With Milton.
With Milton, before he had it. And I said to him at the end of the second time I put it up, I said, Milton, I have an idea. This is what I'm going to do. Right now, they're looking for name actors, and Richard Lawson is nobody. So I'm going to go in, and I'm going to take a .357 Magnum, and I'm going to fire it into the ceiling. Plaster is going to fall. That will scare the shit out of them, and I'll have their attention.
You got my attention just telling the story.
But this made my entire career.
But you didn't pull the gun.
No, I didn't even get the audition. It was before the audition. He said to me, let me think about it. He taught another scene, and at the end of the scene, he said, come here. And he put both of his hands on my shoulder, and he looked me in the eye intently, and he said, if that's what you see, do it. Do it.
Jeez.
He infused me with a sense of confidence, the fact that I wasn't crazy, and follow your vision. Well, in his mind, I think he really understood that I would never take it that far. Okay? So
well, he knew you well. You were his student for a while now.
Well, I was a student since 1977. But when he got the job, I understood that this was still an uphill battle for me. And I already told him what I was going to do. So that wasn't going to work. But when I got the audition the second time, I walked in. And just before I walked in, Kenny Holliday, who had done it after Dorian in New York, walked out, and he looked at me and he said, good luck. And that fired me up. So the door opens, the producer comes to the door, and he said, hey, Richard, good to see you. I said, man, the last time I was here, you stopped me. You stopped me. That was disrespectful. You stopped me. He said, no, I didn't mean any respect. I said it was disrespectful. I pulled the knife. I said, now disrespect me today. Sit down. He was scared to death. He sat down. I said, now shut up. You, Richard Thomas, come here and sit down. I started to climb over a chair. He ran to sit down, right? Now, I was scared to death. I took the knife and I stabbed it into the stage and went, I said, now you guys think you know something about this guy. And I went into a monologue, and I was on another planet, because it was like, I'm either getting this job or I'm going to jail. I killed it. I had their attention. At the end, I took the knife out, I folded it up, and I said, I want to thank you guys for having the patience to sit through that. I just needed to show you who this guy was. Thank you very much. And I walked out. They got up and they said, call the police, call the police. Milton said, but wait. Let me just ask you guys something. Was that the character? And they stopped and they said, that was the character, but that was crazy. But was that the character? Yes, that was the character. And I got the job.
That's incredible. I didn't know about the call the police part.
Oh, it was that close. I was going to get the job or go to jail.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what I love about this story, and which is why I wanted to ask about it, is because of there's this, and I just know this from knowing you for how long I know you, and the various stories that you've told and people have told about you. You have this level of commitment to the craft that's beyond academic. It's a desire to transcend expectations, and it's like if you look at like the bell curve of what people are willing to do to get a job.
Mm.
Most people are down here where
Yeah.
it's safe.
Yeah.
And there's some people who are up here.
Yeah.
Right. So that story is about being up here.
It's about, yeah.